good, Wagering World? It's your boy Five Star in Vegas, broadcasting live at the Star Wars beautiful summer in Nevada, and here with my guy, my co-host, the only Sacramento Kings fan that I know. What's good, Spread Astaire? How are you this morning?
Man, I'm excited, man. It's beautiful this time of year. We're about to get the convergence of all three sports there for a little bit with baseball going in the playoffs. And, NBA preseason is here. NBA starts on October 19th, I believe. So we're going to have everything going all at the same time. What a great time to be a sports fan. What a great time to be a sports bettor.
Man, baseball really ticked me off last night. So I got this little promotion that I'm doing because for the first time ever, I went like 0-3 on 97.5 on ESPN. And you've known me for like 2 years doing this. I've never had a losing week. I might have went 1-2 a couple times, but most times it's 2-1, 3-0. And this time I went 0-3, so I felt bad. So the guys who really have been loyal listeners and followers, I decided to, look out for them for the rest of the week. And what I'm going to do is shoot them some games in order for them to make a profit. And man, baseball was terrible to us last night. Like the Cubs give up 2 runs on 2 errors. Angels blow the game in the bottom of the ninth. The pitcher throws a strike right down the middle of the plate. Of course, the umpire doesn't call it. Next thing you know, the pitcher's jumping and screaming on the mound and loses his head. And next hitter ends up dinging him, almost taking him out the park, but it clears the bases in order to tie the ball game up. And just a tough, real loss. When you into that 1% on a bet, and you know that you picked it the right side, and it still doesn't go your way. But it happens like that in baseball, especially during the end of the year, because you're in a real funny position when you're dealing with these teams that aren't going anywhere about how much effort you're going to get from them. And you see a lot of hasty strike calls by some umps, while some let other things go. But a lot is ready for the season to be over. It's been a long time they've been out there on the field, and their personal things are getting involved. But with me, transparency is the key to authenticity. So I'm trying to show these guys what it'd be like a week involved with me consulting them on sports betting. And so I'm going to make sure that those guys are getting the green, and I'm going to be sending them plays all week. And I appreciate those 14, 15 guys that's got this group thing going.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I know you, and I'm sure you'll turn it around, and that's how it goes. I'm wondering how this goes as handicappers here with baseball. Now, I don't follow it too much, but of course, one of the reasons that I got out of it is just the talent disparity between the teams, and and of course, everyone's nostalgic, right? But growing up, this time of year was awesome, right? We had all these races, right?
Yeah.
There's not a lot going on as far as an actual pennant race or playoff teams, right? The good teams are good. The bad teams are bad, and they're playing out the season, right? And it almost feels like the NBA now to me, where the last 2 weeks, right? You pick out 1 or 2 nights a games a night that matter, but the rest of the teams are simply getting ready for the playoffs. And and that's one of the problems with baseball not having the salary cap is the iniquity between these teams is so wide, right? Like you look at the Pittsburgh Pirates roster and then look at the New York Yankees roster, right? I mean, it's night and day. How many players on the Pirates will start on the Yankees? And I don't know the answer, but I know it's not very many, right? I mean, just 9 guys better than the other 9 guys.
They have a shortstop who would start. The O'Neal Cruz, he'll at least maybe be a DH.
And I mean, it's still Major League Baseball players, right? And it's still the best players in the world, but it just feels like all the best players are congregated on the same teams, and it's making September not as good. Just like in the NBA, the end of the season, you're just kind of like, we're just waiting for the playoffs to start. We'll see, and I'm sure you'll turn it back around with baseball tonight.
Oh, yeah, of course, especially with the playoffs coming up, because now you're getting the best out of these guys.
This is awesome because the teams go out to win.
Yeah, and you get a lot of underplays on those, especially first fives, because, everybody's playing defense and everybody's pitching, throwing the leather around. It's not like how they're doing the middle of the season where they lollygagging and stuff, not spreading the first, and, guys are watching balls drop in front of them. Get to the past, present, and future. Had a Monday night football game last night.
Hey, and you chided me this morning for laying off that game, and you said the Niners were the easy play. My concern was losing Trent Williams, and people have their criticisms with PFF, and of course, no grading system is going to be perfect. But when I saw that he was the top-ranked offensive tackle last year, that completely correlated with what I saw. Right. When you say, hey, he's the best, right? Just like if you have Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen as your highest rated quarterback, I'm going to be like, That is correct. That's what I see when I watch the game. I was really worried about the loss of Trent Williams, but you made the point, man, with Stafford not being the most agile quarterback, that Rams line being beat up, and the 49ers' ability to get after the quarterback is just too much. And I'll tell you what, I know people are down on Jimmy G because he's not a playmaker, but one thing that he does, and he did last night, was get the ball in the hands of his playmakers. It doesn't matter. Hey, you don't have to, it doesn't matter for Debo. He doesn't need to have all that separation. If you can get it to him in the flat with room to space on stride, which is what he did, right? And sometimes I don't think he gets credit for making those easy throws because there's some of these quarterbacks, Mitch Trubisky, right? They can't even make the easy throws.
Yeah.
And so overall, it was a great experience for San Francisco 49ers fans. I was with a lot of them last night as I was out at a birthday party. And they're real excited about their team, and why not? And look what happens next. Next, they go to Carolina, who's looked like an absolute disaster, and then they're going to go down and face Atlanta. So 2 big road games, but they should be able to win both those games. I'm especially interested to see how that Atlanta offense that keeps getting better does against this Niners defense, which I consider a top 5 defense in the NFL. What did you see?
Trent is my boy, man. Me and Trent Williams go back a long time. We met years ago at the club. He was with the homie Slim Thug, and we had sections by each other. Ended up chopping it up. We were cool at that time. And then later on, he had like his best friend who used to run this club in Miami for him. They all grew up together in the same town out in East Texas. He was getting beats from me and getting me to take him to the studio and kind of manage his career. He was an up-and-coming rapper. So I go way back with Trent Williams, man. He's a real good dude, man. Solid guy. And like you say, he's the best at his position in the league, man. And a lot of people thought that they were going to miss him. I felt that they would miss him. I mean, you can't replace Trent. But Baby Shanahan has a great record into his understudy. Always does a great job of having them prepared against the Rams. For some reason, the Rams linemen always really have difficult times with the Niners line. I don't know why it is. They seem to overpower them more than most teams, but they've really been destroying them in the trenches over the years. I've been telling you all along that I thought the Rams were going to have a major Super Bowl hangover, and you're seeing that Super Bowl hangover is coming to fruition. I told you I think they're going to struggle to even get to the playoffs because they have
how much of that Super Bowl hangover is one player, though?
And who's that one player?
Odell Beckham. You talked to me about that. That's why I'm just putting it on the table there so all the listeners get it. We don't want to miss that.
Yeah, I've been tweeting about that. And I heard one talking head in major media speak about the difference that Odell Beckham Jr. made on that team. When he came, he made things a lot easier for Cooper Kupp to work over the middle. And also he made big plays when he got one-on-one coverage. And him and Stafford also had a good energy with each other on the field because whether people know it or not, OBJ is a really smart player. He's been playing football his whole life. His father was a football player. He played some quarterback before. He's very intelligent. So him and Stafford know how to be on the same page with each other, and it just worked in cohesion beautifully. They are really missing a kid, and they were going to replace him with Van Jefferson, but now Van Jefferson can't get on the field. He's been hurt for some reason the whole season. I haven't heard much. Have you ever heard what really is going on with him? Because sometimes he'll be, they're saying he's getting back, and then he'll get a setback. Have you heard what's going on with him?
No, I can't. I know what you're saying though. The reports keep coming back and forth. So whatever it is, he can't get it going. They keep being optimistic, and the optimism doesn't seem to be warranted.
They're really missing Van Jefferson at this time because they were thinking that he would be able to do what OBJ does, but OBJ is a phenomenal talent, man. One of the most talented receivers in the league, and I'm sure it's going to be a bidding war when he's healthy and ready to run again in the league. If he does come back, he might be enjoying fatherhood and being a husband so well that he might not. Maybe he doesn't, but if he comes back, a lot of people are going to want to serve. So he could be phenomenal with Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City. Be phenomenal with A-Rod. I saw him shooting out a tweet to him about how great of a passer he was. We don't know if he's going to land in Green Bay. We don't know if he's going to land in Kansas City, come back to the Rams, because he also still shows them a lot of love when he sends out tweets during the game, too. So he's the missing piece, though, and a lot of people don't speak about that enough with the Rams until they get someone to take the top off their defense, because whether people want to realize it or not, Allen Robinson's a shell of himself. He's not getting open. He has nice moves off the line, but he's a possession receiver. And now, only thing the defense have to do is sit down on the Rams, because Cooper Kupp isn't going to run by you. He's going to outwit you. He's going to run something off the line. They win on the line, so you have to hit them quick, because if they take out to just running, the closing speed by the cornerbacks can keep up with them. So they're easy to sit on and predict without an over-the-top threat like they had in Odell Beckham Jr., and that's really hurting them. And then Aaron Donald talking about retirement. What's the old saying, that if you talking about retirement, you already retired. So playing Jalen Rams is just, that guy is one of those dudes that just get on my nerves. And what's crazy about him is
Why?
he's really he's like a good dude and everything, like, but he's just it's just something on the field, like the little dumb stuff he was grabbing the face mask last night and not letting it go, and it just irks me. It's just little stuff. I think he becomes a different person. Maybe that's him. I don't know, but he has some ways that I don't like. A couple of things that he does.
Our New Orleans Saints suffered a tough loss, man. Everyone's seen the replay of that kick a bunch of times, and that's the difference between winning and losing in the NFL, which is why there is an element of randomness to the handicaps. It's nice to get those nice wins. I felt like I had a nice win with the Titans over the Colts, where I felt I was on the right side the whole time, right? And it just didn't come down to a roll of the dice at the end. That game came down to a roll of the dice at the end. And credit to the Vikings. But NFC North is interesting to me. There's two teams that are 3-1, which is fantastic, because like Parcells says, you are what your record says you are. So you're 3-1. They haven't looked that impressive. At the same time, the tools are there so you can see them getting there. Interesting things going on down in the NFC North, where I don't rate those teams that high going into week 5, but I still think both those teams can turn it around and get some potential. And I know you and I, both fans, our teams are 1-3. I'm a Raiders fan. You're a Saints fan. Got to be disappointed here with New Orleans' inability to get it done. Dennis Allen had some question marks over his head coming into the season. He has yet to answer those. It's only 4 games in, so we're not ready to declare he's in over his head. But I don't think anyone would disagree if I said this is a team that sorely misses Sean Payton.
Dennis Allen isn't the problem. He's doing what he does. He's a defensive coordinator. That's the issue. He thought that Pete Carmichael was going to be able to handle things, but as people know, Pete Carmichael, kind of like most assistants, when you're dealing with former OCs that are head coaches, most assistants don't get to call the plays. Even when Sean Payton claimed that one year he was giving it to Carmichael, but you can believe that he was on the headsets overruling him whenever he wanted to. So I guarantee you that Sean Payton was and is Saints offense that we've known in this new era of success with this Saints franchise, and they are really in need of an offensive coordinator. Dennis Allen is going to have to do something, and it's probably going to be cut his old friend Pete Carmichael, because they've been coaching together a long time. They're going to have to get a new voice in that offensive locker room. But we still have a little time, and one thing, they are looking a little bit better with Andy Dalton, because Andy Dalton isn't injured. So he can run the offense and run the plays, So he's more than serviceable. Like we said, they don't lose any points really to me with Andy Dalton, the quarterback, as long as they get Kamara back. He's the key. They got to get a healthy Kamara. Until we get a healthy Kamara, we're going to struggle. We don't know how long Michael Thomas is going to be out. He's always hurt lately. Jarvis Landry is playing with injuries like the type of person that he is and what he does. I think overall that the Saints will be okay. Lattimore, the PI is the only reason we really lost the game. If you saw the replay, Thielen and him are tangled. Thielen gives him a face mask, and they call the PI. I'm so sick of these refs, man. I just had to say it. I'm so sick of these refs deciding the game, because without that, the Saints win the game, because that put the Vikings in scoring position. They scored on the goal line.
We'll see how Dennis Allen goes. I was just saying it as a Raiders fan, and of course people can grow, but I just heard a lot of negative reports about his time there and really his ability to lead the team. And the thing is, it's like quarterbacks. There's just not 32 of these guys in the world that can keep up with the very best, the Sean Paytons, the Bill Belichick's, right? Sean McVay's. I don't know why Shanahan keeps getting thrown in here. You know, Jeff Fisher has a better winning percentage as a head coach than Kyle Shanahan. Really surprised me to read that. So, hey, he looked great last night, and they're going to continue to get this done. And I'm actually high on the 49ers this season. But it's like sometimes he gets put into this rarefied air that I don't know if he's necessarily earned yet. What are your thoughts on Shanahan, and do you think that record is deceptive?
His success kind of ties in with Jimmy G. That's what we've seen. Like, you know, so it kind of makes where you say, hey, is this Jimmy G or is this Shanahan, you know? Weird's kid, but he owns little McVay because McVay's his little brother. And as long as he continues to be his main foe in that side of the NFL, then he'll always look good.
Buffalo and Baltimore. Hey, it was a fun game. And a lot of people are going to criticize the decision not to go for 3. I agree with the criticism, but I don't think the game came down to just that decision. Baltimore's ahead 20-3. They're blowing leads. What does a blown lead tell me? A blown lead isn't just on the defense. The blown lead tells me that the offense stopped scoring as well as the defense giving up touchdowns. If I'm ahead 20-3 and I continue to score, the other team can't catch me. This offense got shut down in the second half, and that's 2 weeks in a row for Baltimore. That's got to be something concerning for their team. And yes, I understand the defense deserves criticism. But if you're Lamar, you're an MVP candidate, right? You got to continue to put points up on the board and give your defense there some breathing room. So their lack of ability to create big drives when it matters has hurt them now a couple weeks into this season. What were your thoughts on the Ravens and the Bills?
What the hell was that call? I don't understand the 4th down call. Where was he throwing the ball to?
He thought he had it. Who's the safety? Poyer? Is Jordan Poyer? I'm not exactly sure his name, but you know, the week before, yeah, it was perfect. I thought the way he played it was really good. And we talked about going against Miami, how they were missing all those pieces from the secondary. He was one of the players, right? Because he got replaced by a 6th-round pick who might end up being good and be developed, but obviously not ready to go against those Miami wide receivers this early in their career with no help from veterans. You saw having a veteran back and a player who understands the game. Really, I thought he made a great play. But
I don't like the play call.
I don't like the decision to not kick.
I don't like that either. Kick the damn extra point. Take the 3 points. And we're going to talk about that a little later, how these coaches, man, it's a group award today. You see the parlay that I put up that I had going?
I think you sent it to me, but you got to remember, I see a lot of those at the course of the weekend.
Line.
Okay,
Titans
easy
money
bet.
Line, Jets money line, Cowboys money line.
Great call on the Jets.
And the Ravens.
Should have had it. Can you imagine that? I mean, first half, unbelievable. And there was 2 games like that, right? Overreacting to first half. I said, boy, these Ravens are legit. And the next one that we have here on the schedule at 14-0, I'm saying, boy, these Jaguars are legit, right? It's Philly in trouble, this and that. Now, Philly storms back. The thing that's disappointing me about Philly is we're never going to get an opportunity all year to see how good this team really is. Okay, you beat Jacksonville. Jacksonville's picked first 2 years in a row. And as someone who actually roots for the Jaguars, they're like, you know, like Raiders are my favorite team, but I want the Jaguars to do well. I think they're a cool team, and Trevor Lawrence, right? If they were to just make a wild card this year and even lose, even if they just lose in the wild card, even if they get blown out like Arizona did last year, it would be a successful season for the level of success this team has. So just because Philadelphia beat this team, who's going to be one of the toughest teams on their schedule, right? I'm not necessarily ready to just say, hey, they're going to make it. And we're not going to find out about this team until the playoffs. There's no Chiefs on their schedule, no Bills, no Buccaneers, no 49ers, no Rams, right? None of the top teams, especially those top defenses. I'm really interested to see how Philly goes. And the funny thing is we're just going to be asking the same question week after week. They might be favored in every single game for the remainder of the season. Now, do I think they're going to go 17-0? No, but they probably should be rightfully favored, especially if you're running numbers like I do, and they just continue to get solid wins. Jacksonville, I think, is on the right track. I think you should consider Trevor Lawrence a rookie because last year was completely unfair to him having Urban Meyer in there running like a 1990s college system rather than trying to compete in the NFL. So if you have a rookie quarterback, especially one with a lot of potential, this is what's going to happen, though. You're going to have down games. And I think you have to treat Trevor like a rookie. I didn't necessarily downgrade the Jaguars for their struggles, and I didn't necessarily upgrade the Eagles. But you can't downgrade this team. We had high expectations for the team going the season, and it's exceeded expectations. What were your thoughts on the Jaguars and the Eagles?
The Eagles are pretty good. They started slow. Hurts had the pick six early, but second half they put the smack down. They kind of took over the game and dominated and did what they want. They're going to be around all year in the NFC, and I'm interested to see how the team ends up. What I did notice is this: their game that they play does not fit well with the Philadelphia weather. Let's see if they'll be able to be one of those hybrid teams like the Patriots were with Tom Brady, and when your guy McDaniels was the OC over there. Same way that the Bills are right now with Josh Allen, where that even though they're a cold weather team, they can still throw it around in that weather. So I'll be interested to see if the Eagles can continue to play the style that they play as the weather gets bad in the coming months.
Said lots of questions about the Eagles, but we're not going to get our answers right off the bat. The Broncos losing to the Raiders again. I'm wondering if that's almost like a Niners-Rams matchup deal. The Raiders always look good against the Broncos. If you only watch Raiders tape against the Broncos, you'd say this is a Super Bowl contender. The defense looks better. The offense is clicking. And give credit to McDaniels and Carr. One of the smart things I thought they did was give all of Waller's targets to Adams. Right? Give it to the guy who's getting things done rather than the guy that's struggling. And Waller's still going to have a couple breakout games here or there, especially as the matchups dictate. But for right now, they were right to give Devontae Adams a lion's share of that targets, and the team paid off. Josh Jacobs looking like a first-round running back. This is the best he's looked since his rookie year, and the play that keeps replaying in my mind towards the end of the game, I can't even remember what down it was, but it's 3 yards to go on the goal line, and he gets first contact at the 3, and he still scores. Yeah. And that's what you want for a running back. The line did their job. They gave him the hole, but then he got the extra 3 yards. And that gets linemen excited. The Raiders' offensive line has had problems. Seems like they finally got it to work because you can't not give this Broncos defensive line credit. Bradley Chubb and Randy Gregory, that's quite the duo. So to get it done against this team was exciting for the Raiders. But I'll tell you what, I didn't necessarily upgrade them that much. And as a Raiders fan, it's not like, oh, I have a lot of hope for this season after seeing that performance. They've traditionally done well against the Broncos, and the Broncos have a lot of problems right now, especially on the offensive end. And we can say, okay, week 1 in a new system, week 2 in a new system. Okay. Season's a quarter of the way over, right? And we're not seeing a lot of this improvement that we expected from the team. And boy, did they suffer a big loss with their number one playmaker, in my mind, Javonte Williams, going out. You can argue Cortland Sutton, maybe is better, but they needed both those guys. That's a big loss. Melvin Gordon already had 2 fumbles. So they go to a rookie named Boone, who you probably know better than me because I don't watch college. I'd never seen the guy before. He played all right, but he dropped a 4th and 5.
He was with the Vikings. He actually got some starts with the Vikings. He's from Cincinnati. He played for the.
Oh, he's not a rookie?
No.
Oh, I thought he was a rookie. Okay, I never heard of him.
Forever. He was the backup for the Vikings for a long time.
Oh, okay. I see. All right, I stand corrected there. What were your thoughts on that game, though? Because I'll tell you what, I didn't really upgrade the Raiders, and I didn't really downgrade the Broncos either. It just, for whatever reason, they just owned that matchup. What were your thoughts?
When I saw Josh Jacobs make that run, all I could think was, what the hell was I thinking drafting Cam Akers instead of him? Because both of them were available for me on fantasy, and I just took Cam Akers thinking he was just going to have this great season and Super Bowl slump. That team just isn't the same. And then you got a hungry running back like Josh Jacobs that's firing up his team and showing them that he's ready to lead the way on offense if they feed him enough, because you cannot trust Derek Carr. All right. I told you the Raiders were desperate. I told you the Raiders were going to win this game. I knew that they were, just simply because Nathaniel Hackett can't coach. Like, he's not going to win games like this, period. The game that he did win, Jimmy G just had a lapse of memory. I don't know what he was thinking. He stepped out the back of the end zone.
They're 2-2.
Well, they'll be 1-3. They'll be
1-3.
They're 1-3, right?
No, they're 2-2.
Who did they beat twice?
The Texans. They beat the Texans and they beat the Niners because they went life and death with the Texans and only put 16 points up. And I know this is your team and this is your town, and they have some good young players, but you have to admit that defense
No, they
isn't where
suck.
it needs
The
to be.
Broncos are horrible. The Broncos aren't good, man.
I mean, going life to death with the Texans to me is not a good sign.
No, not at all. The Broncos just aren't good, man. And I'm starting to believe that Seattle's a better team than them. I'm starting to believe that Geno Smith is a better quarterback than Russell Wilson because they're playing in the same system with the same weapons. And I just saw Russell Wilson complain and cry and struggle in that system. So maybe he wasn't setting up his protections right. Maybe he was bailing on plays too quickly. If you remember, Greg Cosell kind of spoke about this before when doing his film study. So, I know Russ is a good guy, and I'm not trying to hate on him, but the facts is the facts. And Seattle's offense looks more explosive with Geno Smith right now than they did ever with Russell Wilson. And so you have bad quarterback play in Denver, or we're not going to say bad, but we're going to just say slightly above mediocre, but inconsistent for sure. Quarterbacking for the Broncos along with uh, Nathaniel Hackett out there just freestyling. He doesn't know what's going on. He asking players what to do. He looks petrified, man. So I did not know they were 2-2, and they
Yeah, I
don't
mean, they're
look
still
2-2.
ahead of the Raiders in the standings.
It's hilarious. They don't look 2-2.
No, but that's that. Same thing with the Packers, right? And the Vikings. They don't look 3-1, but getting those wins is important even when you're playing bad, right? The thing for the Broncos, though, that's disappointing is we haven't seen them play good yet. But hey, we'll get to Thursday night's game, and we'll probably be opposite there. But I'm not
No,
ready to
we
write
won't.
off the Broncos yet. But
We
you're
won't be
really down
opposite
on
because I
that.
won't have an opinion on neither one of those terrible
I
teams.
mean, they're both bad here. Let's talk about a Sunday night game. Patrick Mahomes showed out. The thing, though, is that was a terrible situation for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as a team, right? You're not just traveling like a normal road trip. You're taking your family away, right? So they got their families with them in this hotel room as they're preparing for this game in Miami. They got all things going on with their friends, their neighbors, their communities. And I know, like you say, oh, these kids are only 24-year-olds. No, they're still sensitive to what's going around them, right?
Yeah.
Even if they don't have a wife and children, it's still not fun. They still have a social
Yeah.
group, right? And it's still a devastating effect and the uncertainty. So this was Tampa Bay's. They really didn't get a fair shot at preparation. And you're going against a team like Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, who got to give him credit, man. He doesn't just run his system. He's constantly tinkering with it and changing it. And if you don't think they didn't watch that freaking Super Bowl over and over again, getting ready and seeing how each play didn't work and fixing it, that was bound to happen. So in hindsight, that was another game that I laid off of. And the spot was just so bad for Tampa. I can't necessarily downgrade them. Give the Chiefs credit for getting them done. But like I said, such a bad spot for Tampa. Tough to upgrade them there, but I already had them pretty high to begin with. So I don't want to take away too much from that loss other than Patrick Mahomes is a lot of fun to watch.
All things are right in the world. Remember, I told you if the Chiefs lost to the Bucks, I would be very upset because I know at that time that all hope was gone for us betters. And Kansas City did what I thought they would do. It just was the perfect spot for them. They're coming off um, a very lackluster performance in the second half against Indianapolis. They only scored 3 points. You got the enemy over there arguing with Patrick Mahomes and stuff. So you already knew that they were going to come in this game, like I spoke about in the last episode, that I expected them to be fine tuned and that Patrick Mahomes would be putting on a show. And that's exactly what he did. Um, those guys came to play, simple as that. Remember, I told you how I liked the Andy Reid, how he matched up against Todd Bowles' defense. I really like the way that Andy draws up his plays. Like you said, you might get him once, but you won't get him twice because he's going to make the adjustments and find all the weaknesses in your defense. And I knew that he was going to be able to dominate Bowles schematically this game. And that's exactly what he did. He was able to do whatever he wanted. Tampa Bay has a lot of stuff going on. Their leader is going through one of the hardest moments in his life. Brady's a family guy, came from a family, but he also is a very selfish guy because he's a guy that wants to be successful and do his thing and do what he does. And it's a fine line between that. And as you see now with the word hitting out that him and his wife are supposedly going looking for divorce lawyers and all this type of stuff, um, it just seems like a lot's going on right now. And then you got this idiot AB posted pictures of him and his wife and all this crazy stuff. So it's a lot of drama going around that Bucks team. And unfortunately, everybody who said about Brady getting in the AB business was going to be something that he regretted for a long time, they were right on the money.
What did he post about Brady and Gazelle?
Well, he showed a picture of Gazelle like goo-goo-eyeing him, hugging him after the Super Bowl. I guess he was trying to make the reference as if, they had something going on, which is sad, and if you would, and I hope Tom Brady punches him out when he sees him. Low down, you don't mess with a man's wife, even if you did that. That's completely wrong and out of line. This man invited you to his house, and now you posted like you messing with his woman. It's just not cool. Even if it did go down that way, and if it happened in that manner, regardless, it's something that should be held out the public eye. It shouldn't be something that you would talk about. It just shows a real ignorance to the. Please, people, stop making excuses for Antonio Brown trying to say he has CTE. Antonio Brown has as much CTE as I do. There's nothing wrong with this man. He's been the same type of person since he's, been alive. He's a guy who likes attention, and he's a guy who likes to do what the hell he likes to do. And he's never had the money before to do what he wants to do. Now that he has the money to do what he wants to do, he's showing his ass because he's always wanted to do that. So stop making these CTE talking about when Burfict hit him and he hasn't been the same. That's some of the dumbest stuff I've ever heard. You can go and read about this man's draft stuff coming out of Central Michigan. You can go see about what Ryan Clark speaks about, how he treated trainers and how he treated coaches at Pittsburgh, so much so that he told Mike Tomlin, when y'all pay this dude, y'all going to have some trouble. Like, stop saying AB got CT, man. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's marketing, man. He's doing the P.T. Barnum, 50 Cent way of, any news is good news, and you guys, are you being clickbait and you're going for it.
Jump into the present. We have a fun game on Thursday night. Well, I think it's fun. I don't think you're as hype on it. But here's my issue here. When the Denver Broncos host the Indianapolis Colts, it sucks for me. These are two teams that I want to fade. These are two teams that I think I'm lower on than the market. But especially the Indianapolis side here. So this is when I get to pat myself on the back. This isn't a course correction for me. I've said from the start, I didn't think that Matt Ryan had it anymore. And I think that just because certain elite, some of the greatest players we've ever seen, like Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, are able to play well into their late 30s, it's not going to be the standard for most men. And that's just simply what we have here as a guy that's not ready to play. And I mean, I guess you could say it's a buy low spot for the Colts because they've been so bad this season. Their coach is on the hot seat. They really need to get things done. Also a buy low spot for the Broncos, right? Coming against a team that for whatever reason just always has their number. And I know you're down on Russell Wilson, but I still think that he's better than Matt Ryan at this point of their careers. At least Russell has two different weapons because he has Judy and Sutton. Matt Ryan pretty much only has Pittman. And I think that the Broncos defense is as good, if not better, than Indy. And finally, I've said this before, Thursday Night Football is a joke because you're going to get Indy just played Tennessee. You don't think Tennessee kicks your butt physically? Think any of those guys are able to do anything on Monday after playing a team coached by Mike Vrabel? No. So you got Monday off. Then you get Tuesday practice. You're traveling on Wednesday. I mean, this is ridiculous that we do this, and I'm going to continue to say it every week. But as sports bettors, we'll take advantage because the road team's at such a disadvantage. I like the Broncos in this game, and you think it's just a trash game overall. What are your thoughts on both these teams?
It's a trash game, and I'm not playing the side, but if I had to, I'd probably lean Colts +3 just because you got like a situation of dumber and dumber. It's like two dumb coaches, and
Is Wright dumb, or does Chris Ballard just give him terrible quarterbacks to work with?
Well, that's why I was
like,
just
could
about
Bill
to say.
Walsh make Matt Ryan look good?
You got one coach who's dumb, and you got one coach who's dumber. So Reich isn't
I think
great.
Reich's a good coach. I think that he's just
great. He's great.
He's not good. Great, not at all. But I'd say he's at least average.
I've seen him do some silly stuff, but this guy over here, man, Nathaniel Hackett, I don't care. I'm gonna fade him until I'm broke. I'm fading him. If I'm gonna bet his game, I'm on the other side until he shows me something different. I just think that he doesn't really get it. And as long as you're letting Russell Wilson coach your team, you're not going to win. You need someone who's going to tell Russell Wilson what to do. Not Russell Wilson got guys hollering, pass, pass. Man, what the hell do you think this is? Does he think this is Pee-wee football spread? What is going on? He got the sidelines hollering, pass, pass.
I was talking to my buddy. He said they didn't even do that in high school football.
Dude, they don't even do that in the high school. And he's trying to make the sidelines, and these guys making like $5 million and looking at him like, dude, get the hell out of my face with these. I'm trying to look at the iPad and see what's the coverage, what's going on. I'm trying to work, man. Get out of my face with this silliness. But that's what's going on when you got Nathaniel Hackett allowing Russell Wilson to run the show, man. But I will need to see if Jonathan Taylor's going to play. On a serious note, Frank Reich is a much better coach than Nathaniel Hackett. And I think that he understands the desperate situation they're going to be in with this game. So I think he'll have a lot of plays drawn up to be successful. If the whole thing is, can they hold up the rush? If Matt Ryan gets time, he can still make throws. The problem is if he doesn't get time, he's turning the ball over. Like me and my guys were just sitting in the Aria, and it's like every snap, we see in Kansas City not doing nothing offensive, so it's turning out the defense. Like, come on, Matt Ryan, throw an interception. Like, come on, Matt Ryan, fumble. Let's get a scoop and score. Like, he's gotten that bad at protecting the ball when he takes sacks, So, or he's taking forever to wind up and throw the ball. So if they give him a pocket where he can, set up and get rid of his throws. That's the problem with these old, unathletic guys who are statues like himself and Flacco. And they're just turnover machines because they are not athletic enough to keep up with these defenses today. So if they can protect him somehow, I really think that the coach could win the game, but can they protect him? That's going to be the key because if he turns the ball over, Denver's going to win.
I don't think Taylor's going to play. It should be Philip Lindsay revenge season. So that's definitely a big downgrade for that Colts offense. But you're looking to college football to make some money, and you're not going to wait till Thursday. It's tomorrow night when SMU, who's now 2-2, head down to Florida to take on UCF, who's 3-1. UCF favored by 3. Total of 65 in this game. What's your breakdown for this college game? This should be fun, standalone game. Everyone will be watching.
My opinion on this game is definitely that UCF is they're a good home team. SMU is much more battle tested. They played some tough teams. They lost by 7 points at Maryland. They lost by 8 points against TCU. Type of team TCU is by the dismantling of the Sooners last week. I like SMU in this game. The line's dropping this from +3 down to 2.5. But I think that SMU can get UCF. They beat them last year pretty handily, 55-28. I just like the potency of the SMU offense. But honestly, the play problem in this game is always in this matchup is the over 63.5. If you look at the last time these teams played, they went over the spread. The last 5 out of 7 matchups, they went over. So you want to look to the over definitely on this game. It's definitely one of those situations where it's going to be a lot of offense and a lot of throwing the ball around. But if I got to take a side, I'm rolling with SMU. They play much tougher competition.
Look to the future, and you got a fun one for us. The NBA preseason has started. Training camp's over. First of all, why do they even have preseason? These guys don't even play during the regular season.
Right.
Why? Anyways, preseason has started.
People enjoying this, man. Don't ruin it for them, Spread.
All right, I won't.
Especially my little fan base, because unfortunately we, haven't had much to cheer about. We've been, rebuilding a couple of years, and we're proud franchise over there in Houston with the Rockets, man. So, any type of uh, time to feel good about ourselves and feel like we got a little hope, let us enjoy it, man. Preseason looked really good for the Rockets, man. That first game, they really showed up and showed out. Um, as you know, we got a great nucleus of young players. Sagoon's a great player. Of course, Jalen Green, one of the most gifted players we've seen in the NBA, and is only getting better. But then you have now the ultimate glue. All I can say is, man, the creator, whoever the big guy up there, really likes me because I always seem to get what I want in life somehow. And you know that I was clamoring over and over on this show that I wanted Jabari Smith. And somehow, and I want to say shout out Rockets Twitter because I think they did it. Somehow they pumped up Boncaro so much, and it made the Magic fall for the bluff, and they went and took Boncaro. And I think that we got the best player in the draft. He's not in summer league out there playing with guys who play at the Y and playing with guys who are going to be playing at the parks and stuff. He's actually playing with some NBA talent, and he looked unbelievable. I watched this guy play at Auburn, and every time I saw Jabari Smith hit the court, all I could say is, "Oh my God, he's going to be nice in the NBA." And I have a pretty good eye for talent, and he looked really good in the Rockets opening preseason game, man. I know it was preseason, but the Spurs played their starting lineup. We played our starting lineup, and they played real minutes. Everybody played about 20 minutes, and the Rockets looked fabulous, man. And I think Jabari Smith's going to be one of those KD type figures. I'm not saying he's going to be as great as KD, but what I'm saying by that is he's one of those guys as well, like Klay Thompson, because some people call him a 6'11" Klay Thompson. He's going to be able to fit and play anywhere because he can guard 1 through 5, and then he shoots the ball from the corner at such a high rate or from the top of the key. He's just a great shooter, period. He's an over 40% three-point shooter, and he guards his tail off and loves to do it. And that's a rare find. So a better comp probably is Klay than KD because KD started playing defense when he got Golden State. So this kid is going to be something else, and he's a great find. Raphael Stone, you did your thing, and then we're not even talking about the young guys like Jake Watt that's going to be coming off the bench that's completely solid. Other guys like KPJ, who's, if he can get under control, he's still a 6'6" guy, and the closest thing we probably seen to Harden as far as in handle, left-handed three-point shooting. We forget KPJ went for 60, just a year back, and how many people could say that in the NBA? So he's a phenomenal talent. If he can just continue to keep himself mentally stable, mentally strong, and a team player, and understanding he has a lot of players who can put the ball in the basket around him and figure out how to lead them and put them in the right positions. At 6'6" at a point guard who's willing to play defense, the Rockets have a chance to have a really, really long run as being a great team in the Western Conference. And I think that the 23.5 wins is very doable for that team. And do you know they have them to make the playoffs at 25-1?
I saw you send that number, and I'll be honest, I think it's pretty close to correct. The only reason is because the West is stacked. There's really only 2 teams that are just out of it from the start, and that's
go to
Utah.
10 teams.
But that doesn't count. You have to win your playing game to catch that bet. Do you see what I'm saying? To catch that bet, you have to be in the top 8. I'm not arguing against the 25-1. Those implied odds are just absolutely ridiculous. But I'm just saying I could see why the books put that there. Because this West is just absolutely stacked. Like I said, there's only 2 teams really.
The Suns just lost to the 36ers.
Yeah, but they're still going to be a playoff team. It's preseason. Like, who cares?
Is Aiden playing?
Yeah, and he hates his coach. And that's going to be an issue.
Look, they're going to have to bench him because in the playoffs he did it. He's about not going to play hard. Watch.
We'll see. He has a lot to prove, and I think he's an interesting guy.
He doesn't want to be there.
Yeah, so he wants to look.
Just imagine this, Spread. You were the UPS. You were the supervisor. You're a district manager that you have to talk to and report to every day about your area and what you have to make sure that's running appropriately. he tried to fire you. He told you, F you,
Yeah.
Spread, get out of here today. I don't want you here anymore. But then
Were you
the
there? I
manager,
mean, this actually happened to me. So.
wow. Okay, the president calls you and says, hey, Spread, come back to work today. I need you. I don't care what da said. Okay, cool. So you're coming back. But he said, but you still have to report to him every day. So
Yeah.
how are
No.
those meetings going? How are you looking forward to talking to this jerk every day?
No, and you're absolutely right. But at the same time, it does kind of put a fire in your ass because unlike, like, let's say you're friendly with your supervisor, you know, hey, how was your weekend? This and that. There's no small talk. It's always that tension. And sometimes that tension drives. I know for me, it actually helped me because I focused on my job because I hated the dude so much. It made me want to have the best area even more. I do understand what you're saying, though. If I'm Aiden, I'm trying to get mine. I'm not passing out of double teams anymore. I'm trying to drop 20 and 10. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll become a black hole. Like don't pass it to me if you want the ball back. And it'll be interesting.
I made my wife quit a job in that same type of situation like you. It was the same
Well,
type
yeah,
of
I'm
she
not at
wanted.
UPS anymore either.
Exactly. The lady tries to fire my wife, but the doctor calls my wife like, "No, you're not. I want you to work like I need you here." And I just told her just quit because it was coming down to I know she was going to end up putting paw prints on her pretty soon, because it's just that it's too intense. It's too when people you don't like each other, and if you're a real person, an actual person, I can't come in and fake it with you every day, man. I'm so you're not going to get my best performance because I don't want to be here. So what I'm going to do is just stay out your way. And when I'm working, all I'm thinking about is this guy's benefiting from what I'm doing. Like that's the type of person I am. And the way that Aiden was at that press release, if he was really the type of guy that you're expecting him to be, I think that he would have approached it a little bit different and put on a face, but he wasn't trying to hide his displeasure at all. So I think his play is going to show that too, because whatever happened must have happened last year because you don't remember me tweeting during that series like Aiden's not giving these guys nothing. Did he bet on the other side? What's going on? Because he looked so disengaged, and I've watched him the whole time he was with Phoenix, and he's a hell of a player, man. When he's engaged and when he wants to play, and he was not giving zero effort. So I expect that to continue. I think that dysfunction behind the scene with them and the owner and all that is going to affect them. Look, you know this as well
But
as I
not
do.
enough to drop them out of the playoffs. I mean, they were
Spread.
the number one seed
We
last
don't know
year.
what this year holds. Phoenix has sucked for a long time before this little 2-year run. Chris Paul has fell off completely. He's falling off.
But
Each year's a new
I'm
year.
not ready to say that. He's still going to crush in the
Tell me
regular
this: the
season.
year that after Phoenix came out the bubble and didn't make the playoffs, the next year, how many people really thought they were going to be as good as they became?
Not as good as they became, but most people thought they were going to become a playoff team.
Okay, what's the difference between that team and the Rockets team right now?
That team added Chris Paul.
Right. So we need a veteran. That's what you're saying.
First of all, I'm not arguing against your 25-1. I'll probably bet it with you.
No, I'm not. I'm asking for advice. You're my homeboy. So.
Oh yeah. I mean, I would think so. I'll be honest though, I don't think I would take a veteran. I think for that bet to cash, you run your guys out there and you see huge levels of improvement, right? Jalen Green makes that Anthony Edwards type leap. And if you look at Jalen Green and Anthony Edwards, their numbers are really similar. Both players struggled for the first half of their rookie year. All-Star break, and they figured it out. So I think Jalen Green makes that huge jump. You lift out one of my favorite guys, who I'm reading great camp reports out of, and that's Şengün, who I think could be. I mean, Jokic is a bad comparison because he's an MVP, right? But have a level of impact with his ability to pass out of the high post and also score from the low post to give the rest of these guys some space to work here. So I'm high on the Rockets too. I love your over. I think that number should have been at 27 or 28. So it's a 5-game.
We haven't even talked about Tari Eason, the steal of the draft.
They went at number 15 out of Arizona.
Tari went to
Arizona.
LSU.
I was thinking of Mathurin. Yeah.
No, he went to LSU.
Yeah, I was thinking of Mathurin. I got those.
He's nice too.
Yeah. But no. Tari Eason, athletically one of the best players in the draft, right? If you just
and he's increased his shot, whereas I think he can shoot about. I think he's going to be able to be around 38, 39% shooting from the 3-point line, man. He's increased his shot that much. Josh Christopher, I call him Jay Guap earlier. If you guys don't know, that's his little nickname and stuff. But Josh Christopher is a hell of a player to bring off the bench too. He's another guy who's going to give you effort. He plays defense. He's strong. He can shoot. Man, I like these Rockets, man, a lot, man. I think that they're going to make a big step forward this year because I think Jabari Smith is that big of an addition to this team from what I just saw in a small sample size because nothing beats young. And if you can just play with effort every night in the NBA, you know that spread. We've been watching this NBA stuff for a long time. If you play hard every game and don't have any major injuries, you can get the last seed of the playoffs and beat anybody, any team. You've seen it over the years. Every year, somebody different. All that they did was they were young guys and they played hard every night on both ends of the court. And I think the Rockets could do that this year.
I loved your over. That West is tough, so we'll see. You know what's going to come down to in the West, and I hate to say this because it's just like my NFL handicap, but injuries, right? If the Clippers stay healthy, they're going to be one of the best teams in the league. If they lose their top two guys, which I don't think is crazy, if they lose their top two guys again, they're going to be right around the play-in, right? They're a middle of the pack team, right? The Los Angeles Lakers, right? LeBron's like 38. I mean, I don't like betting against LeBron, but every year, right, the odds go against. This isn't the NFL.
Last year, Braun was just tired. It used to be just guys, he'd just be standing out there with his hands on his hips. You know,
and he was stat padding too. The health of Anthony Davis is everything on that team.
Yeah.
You've lived in Louisiana. Do you want to hitch your wagon to that guy staying healthy, right? I mean,
that's the squad. That's who's the young team that you better recognize, are the New Orleans Pelicans.
I see, and I love the Pelicans.
They have that veteran, CJ McCollum. Yeah. We got to talk a little basketball since we right here. You know, it's time for it. CJ McCollum is that veteran over on that team. But if you look at that roster, man, and if you look at Zion's new body, and if he stays in shape like he is right now, we know that kid can walk in the gym and just throw sweats on and score 30 in the NBA. Yeah. Just his game it's unbelievably fit for the NBA because he's the most efficient guy we've seen probably since Karl Malone and LeBron down low. Like, he's efficient, man. Like, he isn't missing any of those layups. He doesn't waste any movements. He doesn't waste any time that he has the ball in his hand. And on top of it, he's a great passer. And I'm also hearing from my guys in New Orleans that the guy Trey Murphy has added on another 2 inches. So they say he's almost 7 foot. And they say his 3 ball is looking even better. Then they got Herb Jones that all he lives for is to come out there and harass you and play defense. And I was big on Herb Jones in Alabama, coach's kid, you know, really loves and understands his role, man. That team's going to be good, man. That's going to be a good team, man. So don't be surprised if the Pelicans.
That's what I'm just saying. You can talk up all the teams in the West except for Utah and San Antonio.
Yeah, they suck.
Yeah, the Spurs are terrible. So,
when is Pop going to quit? Pop's so into like trying to be like a icon. I guarantee he's not going to quit until he can talk Becky Hammers into taking his job.
Hey, she's out there with you right now.
Yeah, she's but out there in Vegas shouldn't want to leave, not to go to San Antonio. She probably lives over here in Summerlin. She's a hell of a coach. She could do it. She could be, the men would listen to her. But I guarantee you that's the type of out or something like that Pop's waiting on. They said that Tim Duncan was going to replace him. Remember, he had him on the bench, and all of a sudden Tim Duncan disappeared. And now Giannis is saying he want to do the same thing as Tim Duncan, disappear. And that's what smart men do. You enjoy your money and you go live your life with your family and, enjoy your days on earth with your kids, man. All right, man, let's get to this kick the damn extra point, man.
Yeah, so you're giving it to everybody today. Break it down.
It's a collective award just for the coaching in the NFL. It's just all you guys. I don't know what you're doing right now. You got the guys who are the Tomlins and the Belichicks that are so set in their ways that they won't evolve, and then you got these rascals like the Chargers coach. Yeah, these little rascals like the Chargers coach. And the Broncos coach, and these guys think they're playing Madden. They're not playing any real football, having any real plan. Matt LaFleur, I'm going to keep him out that group. Sean McVay, even though he's a little twerp, he has a Super Bowl ring. No one can ever argue with a Super Bowl ring. Shanahan, even though his record's bad, I respect Shanahan because we've seen his success at different programs around the NFL when he was running offense, right? So all of those guys are out. But pretty much every other coach. Oh, Pete Carroll's getting pulled out because he's exposing this year Russell Wilson was a fraud and that he tried to tell people that, hey, we're calling the right plays. We're trying to let Russ cook. Russ is burning the food. So yeah, so now we got to take him out that group. Andy Reid, the Walrus, will never be in that group. He's a sharp guy. He deserves to be out. But most of these guys across these Matt Eberfluses of the world who do everything they can to shortstop their quarterback just because they don't like him personally. Like, what the hell are you doing, man? What kind of offense are you guys running? Overall, we're just seeing some bad, bad coaching in the NFL. And I gotta throw the GMs in here too because a lot of them aren't giving the guys the proper recipes to cook right. You see some overall bad football from these coaches, and we deserve better as fans. We're all sharp enough and smart enough now to know when we're seeing frauds and seeing a bunch of John knows Jeffrey, so he hired Jack. And that's what we're seeing in a lot of these coordinators in the league, these coaches. It's a buddy system. And some of these guys who are in position of calling these plays don't deserve to be there. So
you nailed it.
To the whole NFL coaching world, you know who you are. Kick the damn extra point.
All right, let's move into giving these guys some winners. Plenty of talk today, but that's what happens. Like I said, the convergence is here. We're going to have so much to talk about. But I'm looking forward to this game Thursday night. You know, first, like I said, two teams I want to fade, but there's one team that I really want to fade, and that's Matt Ryan and the Indianapolis Colts. Once again, I also want to fade the road team on Thursday Night Football. And it's not a broken record. You guys don't think that I think that these teams are getting a fair shot. It's an easy fix. Put the bye week in there before. I mean, I don't have a problem with bye weeks. I don't care if the NFL season goes an extra 3 weeks. You can have 2-3 buys. I don't care. These guys will be healthier. Let's let some guys rest. Let's some guys plan for this team. We talk about player safety. The idea of turning around and playing in these guys aren't high school players. National Football League. All these guys are 6'3", chiseled at 245 pounds and can run a 40 in less than 5 seconds. These collisions are amazing. There's a reason why Myles Garrett had a car crash and it's like nothing to him. Right? I mean, I do this every weekend.
He needs to get a driver.
Yeah, he does. But my point is, I'm always going to fade these road teams on Thursday Night Football unless there's some sort of huge mismatch that I see on the field that I believe that one team will be able to exploit even at the disadvantage. But I like the Broncos -3 against the Colts. Talk to me about your Tennessee.
Man, I got to go to Japan tonight. We got Nishioka going against Kesmanovic. Nishioka is pretty much, this is his home match. You know, he's from Japan. Kesmanovic has not played well. The guys have played 3 times, the last 2 times. Nishioka has beaten Kesmanovic. Nishioka has won his last 5 matches. He just dominated your boy Chapo.
Wait, Chapo's my boy? Chapo's not my boy. I'm not high on Chapo like other people.
Okay, so my guy doesn't like Chapo.
I like FAA. If you're going to give me a Canadian, give me FAA. I think he's better than Chapo.
Yeah, well, FAA just smashed Kesmanovic, so we're going to roll. We're going to roll with my boy Nishioka with the home court advantage playing indoor in Tokyo, man. The Japan crowd is going to be behind him fully. One of the big names in sports there, so I think he gets it done at a pretty low price. You said -118. I actually just sent it out to the clients for -115, and that'll also be one of the plays that I'm going to send out to the guys who I told you I'm going to let have a week experience of getting bets from me and me consulting them and helping them try to get some money in their pockets. Guys, look in your DM. I'm going to keep you updated daily with about 3 bets so we can keep this thing rolling. I'll shoot them over YouTube Spread so you can follow the path. We're going to see how we do this week these next 5 days.
I can't wait. All right, so there you have the ball and parlay. 5 stars not happy with me for picking Hackett, but I got to do it in my fade Matt Ryan system.
Yeah.
And I love that Nishioka money line. I put that in while we were discussing this right now. It's weird how sometimes home court doesn't matter, but this is a case where it does. I think it's going to be a huge edge for Nishioka. And if you follow tennis at all, you understand how crazy the Japanese people and their media is about their local guys. This is like a Super Bowl to him. It'll be like dishonoring his family if he loses this match.
Exactly. Exactly. Man, we appreciate you guys tuning in to the Wagering World. We'll be back actually tomorrow now, since we was one day behind, man, with some more information for you guys and a little shorter show. We had to make up for the day we missed yesterday, man. Spread anything for the people before we get out of here?
No, man, I'm just excited to get these winners in and move into this convergence of the 3 sports. Just like college football, I'm going to rely on you for baseball, because as much as I don't pay attention to the baseball all year, I watch almost every game of the playoffs because it has that urgency, right? And that's what I complain about when the NBA schedule is too long, right? Is there's no urgency. There's no urgency in August when the Dodgers are playing the Diamondbacks. There's going to be some urgency on the field now. So I can't wait, and I'm going to be following your picks just like you've been giving me these college football winners all season. So I love it, and I love this time of year.
I can't wait for Friday, man, and usually the temperature drops. It didn't this time. I actually had to go cut the air on outside. He ran up to 90 degrees pretty fast. Summerlin said, "Oh yeah, you think that it's over because it's October, but it's October in baseball, man. A great time of year, and Friday the playoff start. I look forward to playing some MLB plays, man. You guys follow my guy Spread Astaire. Spread Astaire. Follow me at 5 Star in Vegas. You guys tune in Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. Subscribe to the channel. Tune in, win, guys. Best of luck to y'all."